let me just lay the predicate here, okay? Iran's desire to build a nuclear weapon was going to be built, was going to be effectuated behind a conventional shield. They were going to build for themselves so many missiles, so many drones, so many conventional weapons, including a navy, that at that point there's nothing you could do about it. What they tried to do is they were going to try to build a conventional shield and hide behind that conventional shield and basically say to the world, if you come and do anything about our nuclear program, we will overwhelm you with missiles, we will overwhelm you with drones, and we will overwhelm you with our navy, and you will not win. You will not be able to do anything about it. They were seeking that point of immunity, which is why the president chose to act, to deny them that point of immunity. Operation Epic Fury, some of you didn't like it, some of you did. It was highly successful in achieving its military objectives, which is dramatically reducing the defense industrial base of Iran. The ability to build these missiles and to build these drones, especially the missiles program, substantially degraded. A substantial percentage, and I'll leave the exact numbers to the Department of War because I'm not a general and I'm not here to speak as a military planner, but a substantial degradation in the number of launchers that they have as well. They still have a lot of drones because these are easy to make. We all know it's not an Iran challenge. This is a global challenge. And it's playing out every single day around the world. I mean, Mexican cartels are using UAVs against each other. And we should imagine at some point may even use it against our interests. So this is a pervasive problem around the world. The economics of it are something we have to solve for. But nonetheless, even their drone building capability has been eroded. Today, there is no Iranian Navy. There is no such thing. There's a bunch of Boston whalers with machine guns on them, but there is no Navy. There is no Iranian Navy. It lies at the bottom of the ocean and will soon, within a number of years, be prime fishing spots because they'll turn into reefs. So my whole point is that the Iranian conventional shield has been substantially eroded. Now, in the aftermath of that, two things have happened. The first is they entered into a ceasefire. They agreed, we agreed to stop. But part of that agreement was that they would reopen the straits. They did not. At which point the president decided, and I think appropriately, we can't have a world in which only Iranian ships get through the straits. And so if they're going to shut down the straits for everybody, we're going to shut down the straits for them. And we have done that through a very effective blockade and, by the way, through the seizure of sanctioned ships in the Indo-Pacific as well. The cost to Iran every single day in lost revenue is in the hundreds of millions of dollars that they are losing in lost revenue that they're not generating as a result of that. Now, we are in talks, and I say talks because talks with Iran are not like talks with Switzerland. Okay, they're very different. They require the use of intermediaries, unfortunately. But there is the prospect before us, which could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week, that for the first time, certainly in my memory, they have agreed to negotiate aspects of their nuclear program that just a month ago, just a year ago, they were refusing to even mention, much less enter into discussions about. That is not a guarantee that ultimately it will lead to a deal that's acceptable to the Senate or acceptable to the American people. But we'll be able to engage them in a process to truly test the proposition of how far they're willing to go. Complicating that process, unfortunately, is their internal regime is somewhat fractured in the sense of it takes days to get responses from their system. We can go into more depth in your follow-up questions. But we're hopeful that something like that could happen in which the straits would reopen. We would enter into a period of negotiations on very specific topics, delineated negotiations, in the hope of reaching an outcome that's acceptable to us and something that they would be able to do as well. If it doesn't work out, then obviously we still have a problem with respect to their nuclear ambitions. But what they won't have is the conventional shield to hide behind any longer. Make it work. But we are concerned, or have been concerned in the past, about organizations that sort of have lost their purpose and what they're advancing. And at the end of the day, look, we have a lot of resources. The United States is the richest country in the world. We have the largest government budget in the world, but we don't have unlimited resources. We still have to be able to strategically spend our money. And the State Department, when I took over, a lot of people are like, oh, that's a mess. State Department's not that big. The majority of our employees are local hires overseas. We have, foreign service officers, career civil servants, but compared to some of these other agencies that are out there, we're not that large, and yet we have a global footprint. We're really, other than the department, I would say beyond the Department of War, we're the only ones that are present almost everywhere on the planet. So we have limited resources, and we have to be able to allocate those resources in ways that are driven by the core mission of advancing our national security. And oftentimes that will mean that things we have paid for in the past, we can't continue to fund. because there are other things. It might be good, but there might be something else that's more important and even better. Other cases, we may still spend money on a purpose, but we want to be driven not just by, we don't want to be judged just by how much money we're spending on something. We also want outcomes for it. We want to show outcomes. That's been the goal behind these MOUs, these compacts with the 32 countries that we've entered into in a week plan, is we're not just trying to solve the disease problem this year, we're trying to build the local capacity so that 5 years from now, they won't need aid anymore because their local systems can handle it. Saying 5 years, some countries may take 10 years, but nonetheless, that's the goal, and it's been very well received.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Senator Merkley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Secretary. Good to see you. As Senator Shaheen noted, you've expressed that no one died as a result of the sudden shutdown of AID. And I did ask you last time you were here about that, and I won't repeat all that, but I want to note that the folks who study this at the schools of public health, the Harvard Chen School, the Boston University School of Public Health, estimate that over 500,000 children have died from that sudden shutdown. I want to kind of put a note on that. If you were to walk across this country, you'd see one dead child equivalent every roughly 30 feet. That's the level of carnage. I know you disagree with that, but many experts who are in this field.
We believe that America should lead the world, and I believe that we are, and we'll have a very good story to tell about that. American leadership, however, should always be on behalf of the American interests. I say this because I think over a period of time in our foreign policy, we lost focus on that. The reality of it is that our foreign policy, first and foremost, must always be what is in the national interest of the United States of America. And determining the national interest oftentimes requires us to make pragmatic decisions. Sometimes in foreign policy, the choices are not between a good choice and a bad choice. It's between two less than ideal choices, and you're trying to figure out which one of these two choices is the one that is best for the United States and least harmful to our interests. And that plays out every single day. That said, we remain the world's sole global superpower, the most powerful country on earth. We have the largest economy. We have the most formidable and powerful military ever known to man, by the way. Our dollar remains the reserve currency of the world. Our language is used extensively throughout the world to transact all sorts of business and many of our engagements. But all of this means very little if that power is not used to protect the people who built it, the people who it is meant to protect. I also remind everybody the United States government is not a charity. We are not here to play social worker. We are here to win. We are here to win on behalf of the American people and on behalf of the national interest, to win for our country, to win for the people of America, to win for the things that are important for our future, and that's what we exist to do. The State Department exists to carry out the foreign policy of the United States, both in diplomacy and in aid, in a way that furthers the national interest and helps the American people. And it's guided every decision that's been made since January of 2025. Let me first bifurcate two things. The only reason there's a blockade, the only reason why there's a U.S. blockade is because Iran has closed they're firing on commercial ships. And they've mined large segments of Hormuz, international waters. And so the blockade is only against Iranian ships. And it's very simple. The notion is if no one's ships are going to get out, then Iran's ships aren't going to get out either. It's that we can't live in a world in which they get to close the straits and tell everybody, pay us a toll or we'll blow you up, but their ships get to go out unfettered. So that's the reason why there's a blockade. There wouldn't have been a blockade if Iran had agreed to do what they said they would do when the ceasefire kicked in, which is they were going to open the straits. So let me just focus on the straits for a moment. Number one, what they're doing is unlawful and illegal. There isn't a country on earth, other than Iran, and maybe Oman that flirted with it, who's in favor of what Iran is doing in the Straits. The Chinese are against it. The Russians are against it. Everyone is against it. The whole world is against it. So condition number one is they have to reopen the Straits. And reopening the Straits means the following. Ships can sail through international waters the way they can do through other choke points around the world without being fired upon, without paying a toll. That's condition number one. To give you a perfect example is in our own Western Hemisphere, an area that this committee and many of its members long argued, as I did, has long been neglected and not been paid attention to. We now have in this hemisphere a coalition of friendly countries, over a dozen, who have aligned to work on not just the issues of security that we all have in common, but also economic prosperity that go hand in hand. It's an amazing story that basically, other than Nicaragua, other than Cuba, obviously, other than Venezuela, remains with some challenges. And of course, Brazil, although they're in the midst of an election cycle, and to some extent the current government in Colombia as well, at least the president's been problematic. But generally speaking, it is now a region filled with American allies, American-friendly leaders, and an America-friendly direction. Now, obviously, we have to operationalize that into action after 20 years of neglect, in which China and other global powers have intruded in our Western Hemisphere to the detriment not just of American national interest, but to the detriment, in our view, of the people of those countries as well. So these are important achievements, and one that I'm very happy about.
That's Marco Rubio, obviously testifying in front of the Senate. And I don't know if you had a chance to watch it. It's still going on. It'll go on for hours. But one thing became very clear to me as I was watching it, very, very clear. And that is, we're looking not just in New Jersey, not just on X, even in the Senate, we are looking at two different versions of America. As you just heard that little bit of snippets of what he was talking about, one of the first things he said, because every time a Democrat came up, they weren't talking about America. They were talking about some far-off land. Hey, there's kids dying over there. There's kids dying here. And I loved how he answered it. We're not a social worker. We're not a charity. If you can't afford to take care of your own people, you're not a country. It's not our responsibility. And as you heard the Democrats talking, excuse me, all they wanted to do was talk about what we're going to do about this country and that country. No, we are going to secure and protect and build prosperity here first. They don't like that. Don't like it at all. And it became very clear if you watch this hearing that we have completely split as a country. They do not have our best interest at heart. They don't even talk about Americans. What can we do to help Americans get better? And I love what he said. We're not social workers. We're here to win. He was echoing what President Trump said. We are here to win. We're not here to be the Washington Nationals for the world's Harlem Globetrotters. We are here to win it. And it's like nails on the chalkboard for almost every single Democrat and a lot of Republicans. They can't stand the fact that we're going to win. They shudder when he started talking about the Western Hemisphere, the Don Roe doctrine. And he said, for the last 20 years, you guys have sat on your ass and you haven't been the leader in the Western Hemisphere. It's yours for the taking. Why have you just let it go? Excuse me, no answers. He also said, and it was really, really funny, he goes, we're trying to talk to Iran, but it's not like talking to basically normal people. You have to go through intermediaries. They're crazy. And that gave me a glimpse into something else. That gave me a glimpse into the fact of, I would almost venture to say almost everything we are seeing in the news is a movie. Nobody knows what's really going on. And if you put a gun to some reporter's head and said, who's negotiating on behalf of Iran? None of them would know. So if the news, if the critics of President Trump can't even tell you who our adversary is, then how can you believe anything that they report? You know, normally you could say, hey, there's something going on with Ukraine and Russia, and it's Zelensky and it's Putin. Gotcha. Who's running Iran? Who are we negotiating with? Not a single reporter can tell you who that name is. I don't know if you've thought about that. I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea who they are talking to in Iran. There's probably people in Iran who don't know who they're talking to. You got the mullahs. You got the military, IRGC. You got the people who want to reform Iran. You have the parliament. Who the hell is running the country? Who's making the deals? Who's talking to everybody? You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. And so how can you turn on the news and go, hey, so today we heard, who'd you hear it from? You didn't hear it from Trump. You didn't hear it from Marco Rubio. You're making it up. And so the more I look at this is, you know, people will call you bootlickers and everything you're doing. You're just doing whatever Trump says. No, I'm just seeing the lay of the land. I do understand that it's fractured. He mentioned that word. IRGC, Parliament, the mullahs, the people. You can't have 4 different negotiations. You got to be talking to somebody who can make a decision. And as you're talking to that one person who's trying to make a decision, the other 3 people might be launching drones. You have no idea. And so what I believe is happening right now is that the media have played their hands. The panicans have played their hands. The libtards are playing their hands. They are doing everything to make people think there's nothing, no kind of control. That President Trump and his team are complete morons. But it's so funny because every time I hear one of these morons talk, I realize, no, they got it definitely in control. He didn't even blink. He didn't even stutter. Bam, 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 bam. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're doing. And it gives me so much more confidence because I can push out the insanity and go, I'm hearing from the people who are actually doing this. Not somebody on ESPN, CNN, or MS Now, or even Fox. None of them knows. Not even Jennifer Griffin, who thinks she's got all the contacts inside the Pentagon. None of them have any idea what the hell is going on. So call me a bootlicker. Call me, a Trump jock sniffer because I'm letting it play out. I'm letting it play out because when I see somebody like Mark Rubio talk, it's so refreshing. I wish they talked more. I wish that Pete Hegseth and General Raising Cane would do more press conferences. Let people know, hey, listen, here's what's going on. Not what these idiots are saying. I heard Tom Homan last night. He was on Hannity. I was going to clip that for you. And he was fired up saying they're full of crap. They're lying. The people are being fed. They got showers. Whether they choose to take them or not, that's up to them. You want to walk around stinking, that's up to you. It's all a lie, a constant 24/7 lie, and they're subjecting the American people to it. I told SB earlier, I'm beginning to get a little bit more aggressive on X because I have at this point, I don't give an F attitude towards the libtards. I don't care. I want to ignore them. I want to block them. I want to forget them. It pisses them off because they say something, just block them, go away. Not even getting into it with you. Don't tell me the news today with Bill Pulte being named as the acting director of national intelligence for instead of Tulsi Gabbard is a big problem when a couple years ago they had a guy in a dress working in our nuclear program. I'll show you that and remind you. Don't tell me that the White House lawn is problematic because there's a giant arena out there and they're doing a construction site and it's below the dignity of the office. When Biden was in there, you had Transformer people walking around with their boobs hanging out. Literally, fake boobs. No patience. At this point, I'm focused on November. I'm going to be heading into November with a single focus, and that's to eliminate these commies. And if you listened or go back and listen to some of the stuff that Marco Rubio had to go through, and as you heard, Merkley, here's one right now.
What party was I at? I was at a party?
It's publicly reported, and there's photos there.
But what party? No, but you're going to say that. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer that question because that's an absurd statement. I was not at a party.
Finish my paragraph.
You're 100% inaccurate and 100% wrong. I was not at a party. Where I was is next to the president because in the midst of those negotiations, I was in communications with them. I know your staff wrote up this cute statement for your TikTok video, but it's not true and it's not real.
Oh.
That's what we're talking about here. It's not true. It's not real. They know it's not true. They know it's not real. Did you see that woman's face? She's like, I'm stuck. Somebody help me. My lie isn't working. I'm being called out on national television. The whole thing with the guy in Maine, we are watching one giant movie because it's not about hurting Trump. It's about hurting you. They don't want the Monroe Doctrine, the Donroe Doctrine, a Western Hemisphere power. They don't want America asserting themselves like that. It's our 250th birthday, and they don't want American dominance. As he was talking, and they were talking about USAID, I'm like, I don't care. We turned off the spigot because we need it for Americans. But there's all these people are dying. They're all dying around the world. If you string their bodies from here to there, it's going to go all every 30 feet or whatever. Shut up. You are portraying to the American public that we don't count. You're letting us know that we are second class to everybody else. And at this point, you guys, and I say this comfortably, need to get focused. Need to understand this. Everybody says this is the most important election in our lifetime. They say it all the time. This one appears to be that way. I've never seen a Democrat congressperson or a Democrat senator openly say that America is not that important, that we should worry about other people first. In addition to all their commie taxes and what they want to do, we're going to talk about that. They're ashamed of America. I can't imagine it. My dad was in the Army. My brother was in the Army. He went to West Point. And now you're telling me that we are second to everybody else in the world with everything else that's happened. You're protesting and biting cops because you want to get illegals released. Something's really wrong with these people, and they're trying to break your will. And he said that. Remember, Hakeem Jeffrey said we need to break their spirit. If you keep that first and foremost in your mind, that their intent is to break your spirit, then all the stuff you can see clearly. You're like, wait a minute, I see what this stuff is. You're just trying to make me feel a certain way. You're trying to troll in the chat. You're trying to troll on X. You're trying to make me feel like something's not working. When the only reason you're doing that is because you're not winning. Like Marco Rubio said, we're here to win. We're here to take no prisoners. We're here not to show you any mercy. You mess with America, you get the horns. It's tough. It sounds rough. It sounds bad that a president would be so gruff, but it's what we need in 2026. I'm tired of apologizing for it. And as I'm looking at all the things that he said and how he said them, the most important thing that he said in that little clip, he said a whole lot more, was when he said, I hope we come to a deal, but it's not guaranteed. And you're thinking to yourself, maybe, but why is that so important? Because nothing is guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that we're going to have an Iranian country that submits. It's not guaranteed that we're going to win the midterms. It's not guaranteed that Steve Hilton is going to be elected governor in California. It's not guaranteed that Spencer Pratt is going to be elected. It should be, because I can't believe there are so many people who would allow this stuff to happen, but unfortunately, that's where we are. And because there's no guarantee, there's no slam dunk here. There's nothing you can say, hey, yeah, we got that one in a bag. That tells you got to be on your game every single moment. It's pressure. It's heavy pressure. But if we want to continue to prosper as Americans, that's what it's going to take from here on till 2028. We're going to have to beat these people into submission. And I don't mean physically, unless it comes to that. But you can't take anything for granted. You're going to have to game up. You're going to have to armor up. You're going to have to pray up and understand every single day it's a fight. And here, if you come here and you're in our chat, there's other people that'll pump you up if you're feeling down, but they're coming for you. You have an adversary right now who doesn't give a crap about America. Don't give a crap about you. And they're going to keep firing, trying to break your will, break your spirit, break this country. You can't let them. I had one guy today, because I have another story about AI today, and he's a follower. And he's like, nope, not going to use AI. Nobody's going to talk me into it. Nobody's going to make me. He said that on X. And I fired back to him like, bro, you realize you're using it right now. That's the type of ignorance that will get us defeated. When you're saying things that you don't even understand, it's going to get you in trouble. For somebody to be sitting on a computer or on their smartphone and typing me a comment, so I'm never going to use AI, I'm never going to do it, as they're using AI. The entire platform, this one and YouTube, I'm pretty sure most of Rumble, definitely all of X, Google, unless you're going to go pitch a tent out in the woods or build a Faraday cage over your house, you are being used or are using AI, period. And so these are the tools that, the arrows that we have to put in our quiver and understand the bad guys are going to use them against you. The bad guys don't expect you to arm up, and you're going to leave a vulnerability, and they're going to exploit it. And I just wanted to urge everybody, get ready. Get ready. And I was so enthused listening to Marco today. It was just, they're still going through it. And he's slapping them back. And I think it'll go on to like 4 o'clock today. So maybe we'll pick it up. That being said, today's press conference, it's going to be a little bit weird. I was talking to Ashley this morning, and Dr. Oz, I was hoping for Stephen Miller. Dr. Oz is going to be stepping up to the microphone, and I don't know how he's going to handle. The guy's polished. He's been on TV quite a bit. He can obviously articulate. I don't have any problem in his communication. I don't know if he's got the background on some of the topics these people are going to fire at him. I do know he's got the guts-o. I do know he ain't going to take any crap. I'm confident of that, but I'm very interested myself to see how it works. Before I bring SV on, I want to show you a couple of things that President Trump said. This made big news today. It says, I am appointing the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency and chairman of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, William J. Pulte, to serve as acting director of DNI. William has deep experience managing the most sensitive matters in America, the safety and soundness of the markets, and over $10 trillion at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a substantial increase from where it was just 12 months ago. During this period, he will also still remain director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency and chairman of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Congratulations, Director Pulte. Democrats freaked out about that. You see, the Democrats freak out about this stuff because President Trump is probably doing two things here. One, he realizes that some of these people in some of these government positions don't know what the hell they're doing and don't have any clue or idea in terms of how things work. And you got all these different jobs and directors and secretaries, whereas you've seen Marco Rubio can do a handful and Bill Pulte can do a handful. I don't have a problem with it. The second thing he's obviously doing, which a lot of people are missing, and this one is probably very important for you to understand. To me, it appears at this point as though he's closing ranks. And what I mean by closing ranks is he is building an inner circle that's impenetrable. I only want the most loyal of loyal surrounding me. I need you to be one of those people who can keep things secret. Don't talk about it. Don't give any interviews to the media that aren't warranted. We, at this point where we are heading into November, we need a very, very tight ship. And so he's bringing in those people that can be very, very exclusive, which is another thing the Democrats completely hate. They need those leaks. They need to hear these things. I mean, the story that came out yesterday about that President Trump told Bibi Netanyahu, are you effing crazy? That was a big thing all over the place. Where'd it come from? I've seen everybody reporting on it and talking about it. All these different people talking about it. Where did it come from? Who said it? How did it get to the press? They leave all that out. And of course, President Trump's not saying anything about it. But I'm asking you, where did it come from? Prove it. Who is in the room? Who is on the phone that heard President Trump tell Bibi Netanyahu, you must be effing crazy? I'm pretty sure it didn't come from our side of the phone. Did it come from the Israeli side? We don't know. But is that another fishing expedition that they did to see where there might have been a hole? Nobody knows, because maybe he said it and he meant it. Maybe he said it and it was a trap to see who was going to report it, or maybe it never got said at all. Nobody knows. And that's what's driving everybody crazy at this point right now. And I just wanted to show you, I think I did post this, and I want to show this to you so you can tell your libtardian friends if they say anything about Bill Pulte not being qualified. This dude who was stealing luggage and appearing at the White House in that kind of garb was brought in by Biden to run one of our nuclear commissions. I'm pretty sure nuclear is pretty important. And so if you're going to bring in that guy, but you're going to tell, whatever it is, and you're going to tell me Bill Pulte isn't qualified, I'm going to have to tell you to kiss my rear end. That's all I got to say about that. And then one other thing that maybe SV's got some information on this. President Trump posted this at 8:40 this morning. This is California. Vote today for Steve Hilton for governor. He will work with me and the federal government. The money will flow because I have confidence in him, but not any of the others. And we will make California great again. Steve Hilton will never let you down. Anything missing there? Anything jumping off the page at you that's missing? He didn't say anything about Spencer Pratt. And I was shocked. I went, and maybe SV has seen it someplace, but I've refreshed and refreshed and refreshed, and I haven't seen anything with him endorsing Spencer Pratt. So I'm wondering what's up with that. SV, around? Have you heard anything about that?
No, I actually had the same thought when I read that. I was like, why didn't he add Spencer Pratt? Maybe, I don't know. That's a very interesting, look at it. Hopefully, maybe he just assumes he's going to do well because, you're talking about running against idiot Bastard.
Yeah.
So.
But he specifically put California. He starts it off with California. And then the other thing that's in here, because I have confidence in him, and then he put a parenthetical statement, and that parenthetical statement is, but not any of the others. And
well, he is talking about the governorship, so I mean, maybe it's a dig at Newsom,
or Steyer and Xavier Becerra, maybe those. I'm not really sure, but I just found it is. I was like, I can't wait to ask SV. Have you seen anything? And I've scrolled and refreshed, and that was at 8:40 in the morning. So I would have thought the next post would have been, "Hey, go out today and vote for Spencer Pratt." And silence.
No, I'm just saying that. I'm just seeing more rampant crime. I mean, I have two other little stories, but this one. They said polls are open in L.A. Karen Bass is mortified after reports of L.A. businesses are reeling over crime under her watch, saying homeless people are wrecking wreaking havoc. They said it looks like a third world nation. He's refusing to even replace the glass at his business, leaving a wooden board covered in graffiti. It's like an upscale area. Said someone took a nearby scooter and threw it through the glass window, harming people inside and scaring away people from even entering the building. This is an American city. It has to change. Vote Spencer Pratt.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll know if they cheat, and that's what one of
Well,
their biggest
there will be
things.
cheating.
They will be cheating. I mean, I can't imagine them allowing, and I say it that way, allowing Spencer Pratt to win. I just couldn't see it.
Oh yeah, they're going to pull out all the stops. I have two other things real quick. So breaking, this is an update for the White House Correspondents Association dinner. It's been rescheduled for July 24th, Friday night. The White House correspondent, President Jiang, said the gathering will feature heightened security and stand as a statement that violence has no place in American society, adding, "We will not allow an act of violence to have the last word." So that just came out about 45 minutes ago.
I saw that, and she left something out too. And the big thing is he coming or is he not coming? I mean, I would think I would not have announced the rescheduling of the event without having the rescheduling of the main guest, because that makes it the event. Nobody's going to tune in to watch a bunch of reporters talk.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll keep him guessing. I mean, if he's going to do the speech for the 250th anniversary thing, I don't know. I'm a little worried about it. I mean, he's going to be out there. I hope the security is sky high, because that the nuts are going to try to do something. It's a given, It seems to be on a daily basis.
There were two things in her announcement that weren't sufficient. One, is he going to come? And number two, where are they holding it? That's the other part. I mean, we're going to reschedule it for July 24th. Where?
There's no ballroom yet.
No ballroom. Where are you having it? Because at that point, so, there's still a lot to. I'd be surprised if they brought it back to that same hotel. I mean,
I think that would be silly to try that again, because the hotel floor plan and everything, it's out on the internet. I mean, again, if you got somebody who's an expert, like James Bond kind of expert, they might get more lucky the second time. So I did have one.
Where I'd love them to have it, because they should have it on the lawn of the White House. And in a tent, and that way he could say, "Hey, did you walk through the grass, lady? Did your heels get sunk in the mud or anything?" And we know it'll be protected, but it would be just the biggest advertisement for the big beautiful ballroom.
Soak the grass, make it a muddy field. See everybody falling down, all the lib nuts, struggling like pigs in the mud. Yeah, that would be kind of fun. Oh my goodness!
And turn the air conditioning. Turn the air conditioning on.
Keep it up to like 110 degrees.
You said you got something else?
So I sent it to you in X if you want to bring it up, because it's about a minute or two read. So we haven't heard about a lot of this in the last year because Trump has closed the border, but the smuggling attempts of illegal immigrants is still happening. So yes, breaking. Texas has disrupted two major smuggling attempts, recovering 40 illegal immigrants in less than 10 days near Laredo. So I'm going to skip down to the third paragraph. On Tuesday, May 26th, just after 4 p.m., a Texas trooper conducted a traffic stop on a white Peterbilt tractor on IH-35 near mile marker 13 outside of Laredo. A search of the truck revealed 20 illegal immigrants concealed in the tractor's sleeping area.
Wow.
The driver, Antonio Brown, he's 47, of Nevada, he must have been paid some cash, was charged with smuggling persons and booked into the Webb County Jail. The 20 illegal immigrants from Mexico, Honduras, and Guatemala were referred to the United States Border Patrol.
Wow.
So this goes to show, I mean, they're not stopping. They're going to continue. I mean, also, did you hear about that, what was it, 1,000-foot tunnel that
I saw the video of that. Yes, I did. That was pretty crazy.
Wow. So they're still tunneling in, and you're popping in at San Diego going, "Hey, get your free stuff. Don't forget to vote for Bass."
I wanted to talk to you guys about this. It's just a picture, so I won't get in trouble with this. But this one,
Ah, yeah.
this one. All right. So everybody knows that this guy here, he bit the arm of one of the, I don't know if it was ICE or Border Patrol, but he bit a big gash. And
That's
now it
crazy.
finds out that the same guy was also accused of distributing, pedo viewing materials. These people are sick.
He's going to be the new friend of Plattner.
Absolutely sick. I mean, it just drives me crazy when I hear this stuff. So they've got
Yeah.
the cameras on in the White House right now. So let me jump and get ready for what's
Okay.
coming up, and I'll
Commercial
get
break.
back to you. So wait a minute. What are you expecting
No.
from Dr. Oz?
Oh, I don't know. I think he's going to hold himself up quite well. I mean, a lot of people tend to respect him. And like you said, he's got some big cojones. So if somebody does get out of line, like Caitlin, I hope
Yeah.
they ask her a question because I want to see how he handles her. And other than that, I want Stephen Miller. That's who I'm looking forward to. That's my man, bro. Come on, Miller
Oh,
time,
it would be so
right?
funny. I mean, if he were to go in there, they'd have to sell it. They'd have to move it into a bigger space.
Or how about a pump fake? Walk in Oz, and then Oz says, "Psych, Miller." That would be awesome.
Or bring them both in. That'd be good for me. I'd love to see that. What am I
Yep.
looking for here? Okay. All right. So thank you very much, and
See you soon.
be right back at you. All right, everybody. All kinds of things going on in the world, as you know, and one of our big partners here is Lear Capital. You've seen the headlines. Big banks are predicting gold could climb over to over $6,000 an ounce, with silver climbing to as high as $300 an ounce. The news is finally catching up to what we've known for years. If you've been in the game, the value of the dollar is under assault, and the demand for gold and silver is exploding. But who you trust matters just as much as what you buy. That's why I personally and Robin trust Lear Capital. They're not only partners on the show, we actually buy our gold and silver from them. They are an education first company that prioritizes customer experience over just a quick sale. And because of that, Lear has thousands of satisfied customers, over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and was named best overall gold IRA company by Consumer Affairs. So if you're considering gold and silver, call the best in the business, Lear Capital. Call today for your free investor kit. Ask how you can qualify for up to $20,000 in bonus gold. Call 800-601-5430. And when you go onto their site, if you just went to Lear Berry, there's all kinds of guides that you can download, all kinds of different information. And the other thing I want to make sure you understand before we go here is buy physical gold and silver, stuff that you can actually hold in your hand. None of that certificate stuff. I do not advocate for that at all. You want the actual thing in your hand. How you store it's up to your business, but get the actual gold and silver. Be right back.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's like I'm talking to a classroom. I've got a couple announcements, and love to take some questions for you. When the president came in for this term, he commented on how challenging it had been to deal with the affordability crisis in pharmaceutical medications. Often commenting on the fact that he'd been able to reduce the price by 1/8% at one point in the first administration, and he thought that was a massive achievement because it's usually just skyrocketing. And it's an important issue for a lot of folks in America because almost 1 in 3 Americans, when they go to a pharmacy to pick up a medication that their doctors prescribe for them, leaves empty-handed because they can't afford the medication, especially for branded products. And part of the reason for this, it's unknown to a lot of Americans, but it's well recognized by the president and this administration, is that our drug prices are about 3 times higher on average than the same drugs made in the same facilities in the same American factories oftentimes than they are charging patients overseas in Europe, Asia, and other parts of the world. It's global freeloading. It's wrong. President demanded that we change it. And as most of you know, we spent much of last year negotiating with the 17 largest pharmaceutical companies that drive over 80% of the entire business in branded pharmaceuticals, and every single one of them agreed to a most favored nation drug pricing strategy, which simply stated means that these medications, especially going into the future, will be priced at the same amount as the rest of the world. It doesn't mean price fixing. We're not telling pharmaceutical companies what to charge. We're saying to them, whatever you charge us, you got to charge the other folks, which means we might be able to help you overseas to get better pricing so that you can make up some of the losses that you'll experience here. And the Council of Economic Advisors estimated that the benefit of the president's negotiated program is about $600 billion over the next 10 years, $600 billion of savings. The question then becomes, how do you actually get that savings to the American people? And we work together with some wonderful folks, Joe Gebbia, Ed Korstein, who have been building the TrumpRx.gov site. And I've got an announcement that today we are adding 160 more drugs to this site. Now, the site already has 700 or so, or 600 or so drugs, so it's going to take it over 750 total. But that is an important number for other reasons. It means that 4 out of 5 medications that are picked up by Americans going into that same drugstore that I mentioned earlier now have the opportunity to double check that the price they're getting in that drugstore, wherever they're buying it from, is the best price out there. So it's a transparency site. It gives everybody the ability to make important decisions about medications they're purchasing with full knowledge of what the cost of those medications are. And that's important because transparency drives cost-effective changes in how we procure and consume products. You would never buy a car without knowing the cost of the car. Some of these medications cost what a car costs. And so these are important assets for the American people to have. I'll put some numbers on this. In the 2 weeks since we did the last event with the president on this topic, we're now up to about 12 million unique visitors to the site. Estimated savings are about $500 million, and again, climbing rapidly as more Americans learn about the program. And it is our great hope and belief that the average American, before they make a purchasing decision for a pharmaceutical product, will start using TrumpRx.gov as a standard, as a baseline, to take advantage of something that's been given to. Again, there's no money made from this site. The government does not charge money to people using this site. It's an opportunity for you to be empowered. That stated, I want to add to that one additional insight that some of you would like to hear, which is that starting on July 1st, the patients on beneficiaries on Medicare who are eligible for GLP products, the weight loss products that the president speaks of frequently, will be allowed to obtain those products for $50 a month. Now, the list price, as you know, for a lot of these drugs is well over $1,000 a month. We've been working hard to push down on these prices to make sure that these medications, which can be life-changing and even life savings because of their impact on weight loss and downstream complications like diabetes and hypertension and all the things that they cause, like kidney failure and heart disease and strokes and dementia, even cancers, all those risk factors are going to be mitigated, we believe, if these medications are used correctly. And so when doctors prescribe them, Medicare beneficiaries will be able to obtain them for $50 a month. And we are hopeful that over the next few years, we will show an actual savings to the American taxpayer if these medications are used correctly and appropriately and consistently, so folks get the weight loss they desire with the downstream benefits that I mentioned earlier. I also want to touch briefly on the crushing of fraud, waste, and abuse made possible by the Vice President's Anti-Fraud Task Force. The White House Task Force has been aggressively going after an all-of-government approach. I'll speak personally as the person charged with the Medicare and Medicaid services. When we identify, by looking at the data, which we have plenty of, that there's an aberrancy in how these bills are coming into us, so there might be fraud there, it's incredibly empowering for us to quickly call the Office of Inspector General or the FBI, the Department of Justice, and to have Todd Blanche call back and say, here's what we're going to do about what you just observed, or call Scott Besson at Treasury and say, we need forensic accounting, something is going on here, where are they hiding the money? And I want to emphasize that this is sophisticated work because our opponents are extraordinarily sophisticated in their attacks on our system. They just need to have a Medicare beneficiary number or some of their ID, which is basically a credit card, and they can begin charging against the federal tax dollars that go into Medicare and Medicaid. That's one of the reasons we're seeing such high amounts of fraud in different parts of the country, and we believe there are organized criminal groups behind some of these endeavors. So I wanted to walk you through a couple of these examples because our goal is to stop the money from ever leaving the building. That is the best way to protect the American taxpayer. As you know, we were in Minnesota last week. where the largest autism takedown occurred. A mother and a daughter, adult daughter, were accused of tens of millions of dollars of theft. Just to put this in perspective, the reason these are so important is if you defraud the system, you don't just take money out of the system. People steal your money. The money from our most vulnerable Americans are going to steal their health. They'll steal their life. And that's what we have been seeing in some of these takedowns. Unfortunately, when these events don't happen in a timely fashion, you lose the whole program. So in Minnesota, the state itself stopped non-emergency medical transportation, which is when you need someone to take you to the doctor's appointment. They cut the whole program. It's gone. It's finished. Because they could not deal with the fraud. It went from an estimated $1 million a year, how much can it cost to take a car to a doctor's office, to over $100 million a year, so they killed the program. And that, of course, we believe, because it doesn't provide the kind of care we desire for our fellow Americans, can be problematic. We don't want that to happen in other endeavors as well. So we've been working with the state of Minnesota. We're not happy with some of the things we've been encountering as we look at their receipts on the services they provided, which is why we deferred $350 million to the state of Minnesota, and we're waiting to hear feedback from them. Other states have also been problematic. California comes to mind, where we've made several trips of late. 1/3 of all of the hospice in the entire country. And hospice is a precious, beautiful program built in the 80s to take care of people with dignity in the last months of their life. Classically, someone has metastatic cancer, they're going to die. It's going to happen in a few months. You give up your Medicare, because why would you want Medicare? You don't need all those things. Take hospice instead. But that trade has risks with it if you don't actually have a lethal problem. And when 1/3 of all the hospices in the entire country are in Los Angeles, not even California, and Los Angeles, that creates issues. First of all, it's not plausible, but it also means someone's been ignoring the problem. And in fact, there was a call 4 years ago by the state auditor in California to address these problems. It was not managed. So our agency has now suspended payments to 850, almost half of all the hospices in California now have been suspended, but they're no longer being paid. And we're going to keep aggressively going at this problem, because when we go after hospice in California, guess what happens? Hospice in Nevada went up 7-fold. Hospice in Arizona, hospice in Texas, they've all gone up. These scoundrels run to other areas. I just learned this morning in California. First of all, it's not plausible, but it also means someone's been ignoring the problem. And in fact, there was a call 4 years ago by the state auditor in California to address these problems. It was not managed. So our agency has now suspended payments to 850, almost half of all the hospices in California now have been suspended, but they're no longer being paid. And we're going to keep aggressively going at this problem, because when we go after hospice in California, guess what happens? Hospice in Nevada went up 7-fold. Hospice in Arizona, hospice in Texas, they've all gone up. These scoundrels run to other areas. I just learned this morning, now they're infiltrating the home health care space in California, which is equally a problem, because now they're taking advantage of a different sector of the population, this time Medicaid, but using nefarious techniques and technologies to do that as well. And again, these are organized criminal syndicates, we believe, in many instances. And that's why being a personal care service attendant, which is, again, doing something that your family would normally do for you, carrying groceries upstairs, driving you somewhere, that job is now by twofold the most common job in California, and it's the most common job in New York. Again, this defies belief that you can get that much growth in single sectors, but these are well-paid jobs that have become now ubiquitously available. There's not been strong guardrails. The last administration did not think that this was an important endpoint. The endpoint was enrolling people and getting people onto these different programs, and that has led to a tremendous opportunity for corrupting the system, and that's what we're witnessing. With that in mind, there's lots we can do to fix these problems. We've been aggressively going after states, red and blue. We wrote a letter to Florida. The difference, by the way, was Florida responded by saying, we know we have a problem. We're going to double down. We want a moratorium on all of our durable medical equipment suppliers. And why? Because there are twice as many durable medical equipment suppliers in South Florida than McDonald's. Again, not really possible unless you're looking the other way. We're not looking the other way. We're aggressively taking on these challenges. And I'm going to reemphasize something that I'm hoping everyone appreciates. But if you're defrauding our most vulnerable citizens in America, do not walk away from this threat. Run away from us, because we're coming after you. All right. I've got. Give me 1 second. I was actually given a cheat sheet, which you all know I got. Shelby, the new media, take it away.
Thanks. I actually wanted to ask about that nationwide moratorium. Industry groups are really concerned about growth and employment getting hurt if that moratorium expands beyond 6 months, would you rule out an extension of that moratorium, or do you expect that it's going to be expanded?
I'm not going to rule out an extension. We have been talking to industry groups about these moratoria. In fact, just as for everybody watching, all of you as well, we benefit from whistleblowers. Our most important whistleblowers have been members of industry who know the game, know how you can cheat it if you're unethical, and they point out to us when these problems occur. So we do not want to hurt the folks who are earnestly involved in hospice, in durable medical equipment suppliers, personal care services. They're good people in these businesses, but we're going to slow down the growth of these sectors till we can get our arms around the problem, because it is of massive magnitude to us. When we go to, let's go over here. Go ahead.
Dr. Oz, thank you so much. Kara Castronova from Lindell TV with two important questions that the American people voted for and care deeply about. Many Americans fear our future administration could reinstate COVID-era vaccine mandates through Medicare and Medicaid funding. Would you support and create reforms to prevent that from happening again? What can you do during your remaining time at CMS to ensure Americans are never forced to choose between their jobs and a forced vaccination?
Well, the president talked about this a bit on Friday with an executive order that desires to provide states with better science to be able to make educated decisions. It is an embarrassment that during COVID we allowed ideology and fear to dictate healthcare policy. Many clinicians at the time couldn't understand where these ideas were coming from. It certainly soured the American people on the trust that their government had historically had in regard to recommending public policy efforts. The president argues, and he's right, and Secretary Kennedy strongly believes we need gold standard science. We need that science to be able to help families make better decisions for themselves, and state governments, because these are state-driven issues usually, especially mandates, to make those decisions more wisely. If we can do this in the right way, it will be very empowering, because who loves children the most? Their parents. No matter what we might say, they're the ones who need to have the information. They should have the ability to make the wisest choices for their kids, not based in fear, but based in science. Stephen.
One more nursing home stuff, Dr. Oz, if you don't mind.
Let me go one at a time. If you ask multiple questions, I'm only going to answer one anyway, so we'll come back. I promise. I talk quickly. Go ahead.
Dr. Oz, thank you. And I actually have two, but, we'll see what you like.
I'll answer one. Pick one.
Well, the first is on most favored nations, the policy. I was hoping that you could explain why the administration thinks it's important to pass legislation codifying these deals. Is the fear that a future president might walk away, and what you make of the congressional pushback? And also on my tragedy derived from Kratom, President Trump has expressed interest. Can you describe the debate within the administration on that?
Let me answer the first one, because there's not a big debate on the second one. The reality around the most favored nation drug pricing is the president has dealt with the entire problem for this administration. But these contracts expire after this administration is done. So like so many things the president's trying to do, he's trying to set it up for the next administration so that they don't have to fight the same battle. Now, it's going to be difficult for pharmaceutical companies to pull back. But we still believe it makes sense for Congress to codify what we've been able to achieve, because it's been so helpful. Think about the $600 billion of savings to the average American over the next 10 years. It's just a massive number that they voluntarily sort of gave back because the president went after them and said, you got to deal with this problem. And by the way, when we knocked on the door of these pharmaceutical company leaders, you know what they said? We knew one day you'd come for us. They weren't surprised. They knew that this couldn't continue. So the president wants Congress, which I know has a lot on its plate, but there are ongoing discussions around the great health care plan. Just last week, the Workforce Committee pushed something out that is going to be on PBM reform. Pharmacy benefits management companies are the middlemen that often are involved between the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies. So there's other parts of the legislation moving forward. But just to remind you, the great health care plan is codifying most favored nation drug pricing so it lasts for decades into the future, as we believe it should. This is all forward-looking, doesn't hurt these companies today, just make sure America's protected in the future. We want plain English insurance policies so you can actually understand the document that you're being given. We want transparency so when you go to a hospital, to a doctor's office, that you actually know what you're getting. Guys, as a doctor, when I prescribe something for you, I often don't know what it's going to cost you to pick up what I just told you to get. These are things that are fixable, and the pharmacy benefits is another part of this. Let's go to, I'm going back, Daily Wire, Mary.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. Right over here. Thank you. My colleague Luke Rosiak just reported, and he's done a lot on this, his investigations into Medicaid fraud and home health have repeatedly brought him to foreign-born healthcare operators. Is CMS tracking what percentage of home health recipients are refugees? for foreign-born, and why are foreigners using these programs at such higher rates than for Americans?
Well, we are tracking illegal immigrants taking advantage of all health care plans. We've already recouped, or we've actually told California they owe us $2 billion. We've got half of it back already. I'm confident we'll get the rest because they have state-based programs that we don't have a lot of visibility into, but because of the Working Families Tax Cut legislation and other rulemaking, we are no longer allowing foreign folks who are here illegally to benefit from these programs. And just to put it in context, in California, if you're on Medi-Cal, the Medicaid program in California, until this administration, you got full dental and full vision benefits. Now, I'm for those benefits. I like them, but we don't give that to Medicare patients. And so we should at least be equitable, and all of us together should decide what we are going to do as a nation. So if we as a country decide we're going to go in one direction, you can't have states splintering off if they're going to spend the other people's money. The fraud, for example, that I'm talking about, and the use of money for illegal immigrants, the people who pay that bill when it, for example, the largesse of California allows folks to get benefits that the rest of the country doesn't think is appropriate for illegal immigrants or home health care providers, that money's paid by folks who are taxpayers in New Mexico, which is a blue state, and Mississippi, a red state. So this is not partisan. Everybody is taxed extra and has to put more into the kitty because some states are doing things that we don't think as a country, well, we would like to have happen. That's why this administration has been so dogged in this issue and why the president has been so aggressive. Go ahead, Mary.
On Ebola, if Kenya does end up blocking the U.S. quarantine facility there, and it seems like they might since the Kenyan courts are delaying it, where will Americans who have been exposed end up going? And then why can't they just come to the United States? I mean, I think you would probably agree that the U.S. has pretty good health care here. So where will they go, and why not to the U.S.?
Jennifer, the main issue with having a facility close to the Democratic Republic of the Congo is if a patient is sick. Again, I'll speak as a heart doctor. I want to take the patient to the OR that's right next door to the room they're sick in, not to the building next to them, or to 3 buildings 2 blocks away, because that time is precious to us. You have a golden hour in many of these instances around trauma, but for illnesses, it's also relatively short. So we are confident, and the State Department's working on this diligently, that they're going to be able to work out something with Kenya. There has already been a fair amount of communication around this issue. We have and that's about it. There's a UK base there. We have other people who might be willing to welcome us, and we have our German colleagues as well. So there's many places we can send folks, but sending them across the world, especially when we're not sure what's going on with them, is probably not the wisest move. In red, take it away.
Thank you so much. Alina Shirazi from the Daily Mail. This is the 4th checkup that the president has had. He's supposed to have 1 a year. He's had several CT heart scans. What are the doctors looking for? And second question, I think you might like this one better. Who has been your favorite cabinet secretary so far to do the briefings at the podium?
That may not be my favorite question. I mean, they're all obviously different. I think Scott Besant's dry humor is fabulous. Marco is just an earnestly funny person. We can tell all kinds of stories about Marco's entertaining commentary. I think JD was spectacular. You know, he's just very on his game, understands the issues, and he understands the American people, which is I appreciated his presentation so much. And I did watch them all, by the way, just to prepare. I'm a doctor. I try to do my homework. I prepped for the case. The first issue was about Ebola. No,
about President Trump's
examinations.
Checks. He's had 4 already. The president's supposed to have 1 a year.
Yeah. So I actually have talked to the president about what he's sent to all of you. And I think it's just a routine, regular exam. You remember I had the president on my show 10 years ago, and he also presented records. And at the time, I was stunned at how well he was doing, because so many of these numbers naturally over time will start going in the wrong direction. But if you look at these records, they're spectacular. You know, his cholesterol, his blood pressure, all the numbers are starting in excellent parameters. His ability, and listen, I work with him frequently. Many of you get to see him almost every day. That amount of energy and that amount of mental acuity does not exist in a vacuum. You have to have a vessel to carry it, and the president has a unique ability to just keep going at all hours of the day with remarkable strength. Let's go. Right behind you.
So the administration has been stressing reshoring manufacturing, pharmaceutical manufacturing is part of that. From those announcements of those 17 pharmaceutical companies, what's the timeline that we could see those projects come to fruition? Is it summer? Is it end of this year?
Well, these companies are already making investments in America. Some are ongoing, some have announced. I went to a ribbon cutting in one in Charlottesville recently. And so there's a lot of investment coming to America. But think about what you would do if you're a pharma executive. If you're a pharma executive and America's open for business and we're trying to support innovation, saving people from, cancer, autoimmune problems, dementia, all these different, you want to be where the action is. So these companies are coming here. It's actually a brain drain from Europe in particular, but other parts of the world as well, of companies who want to come here. So it's not just that we're already going, it's going to get bigger and bigger and louder. No, the jobs are starting when the first time you hire someone to build a plan for you, we have a job. If you're asking for people with picks and helmets, that's also coming quickly. But again, I've been to facilities that are already under construction, so they're starting, and and the president and I visited a facility in Cincinnati a few months ago that, again, they already have the facility, they're already running the facility, they're making additional investments to upgrade their program. Yes, ma'am.
Guys, thank you so much. I know this isn't your wheelhouse, but you are speaking on behalf of the White House today. Can you respond to any of the criticism from Republicans on President Trump's decision to tap Bill Pulte, who has no known intelligence experience, as acting DNI?
Well, I think Bill is a great guy. I know him socially. I've not worked with him in his current job, but I do trust the president's judgment. He is a very sharp, quick study of people, their emotional abilities, and their ability to persevere in the face of hardship. So I have confidence in his decision. Yes, ma'am.
Back on Ebola, given the World Cup coming up and millions of visitors coming to the United States, on the U.S. preparation for this, who is in charge of proactive surveillance measures, and what type of surveillance will the United States be doing for visitors coming in? Will that be expanded beyond the DRC, Uganda, and Sudan? Can you describe what is in place, knowing this influx of people coming soon?
So Jay Bhattacharya, who I spoke to this morning, who is our brilliant leader of the NIH, but also CDC now, is running this program. He's got a lot of help from Dr. Heidi Overton and many others at the White House. So it's a well-constructed game plan. They aggressively got into, and they're funding now, a lot of the treatments that are being offered in the DRC and the Kenya facilities, just an extra way for us to take folks who are Americans who need help. But we have very purposefully put up testing tools and mechanisms at the major airports that people will be traveling through. I have great confidence in Jay's ability. He's a brilliant scientist and knows a lot about viruses. He wrote one of the most important papers really describing the true reality of what was happening during COVID early in the pandemic. It got him in the hot water because it was not convenient to hear it, but he's a brave man who will make the right decisions and be transparent about them. In pink.
Just back to the question about Bill Pulte. Congressional statute says any appointee for the position of the Director of National Intelligence shall have extensive national security expertise. What extensive national security expertise does he have?
Ma'am, you're asking me a question that's out of my lane. I'm so focused on making sure Americans are healthy that I have not been looking at what other agencies. MAH, go ahead.
Dr. Oz.
Yellow tie, go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Okay. That was fun. Dr. Oz, just now you said that it should be surprising to people that personal care service attendant is now by twofold the most common job in California and the most common job in New York. The U.S. healthcare industry has been growing rapidly, 7 to 8% annually. It's an estimated $5.3 trillion in growth. Healthcare accounts for about 18% of GDP. Why should people be surprised that in two of the most populous states in the country, a healthcare-related job like that would be a common job when it is, again, one of the fastest growing and continuously growing industries in the U.S.? I mean, what's going on here?
The primary difference between paying for a hernia operation and paying someone to be a personal care service is the reason it's concerning to us. If you're having a hernia operation, you have a scar. So I know you got something. And you have a doctor who is licensed, and you had it done in a facility that's also credentialed and has been inspected. When you get personal care services, it's an unlicensed person in an unmonitored setting promising they did something. That's a lot of handshakes and, finger crossing and hoping that it worked out okay. This is a problem that has been growing for years. It's just gotten now to a crisis mode. It is just difficult to imagine that it's twice as many jobs as anything else. It's not that healthcare jobs aren't important. Of course they are. But if we put guardrails around these programs, we'll allow them to thrive. I'm here because I love Medicaid. The president has already said he loves and cherishes Medicaid and Medicare. Medicaid in particular is the ultimate payer of last resort. We cannot allow these programs to be defrauded into a turmoil that they cannot pull up from. And so if we love these programs, we'll make the difficult decisions. Let me pivot from that just to describe what came out yesterday, which is the work requirement rule that our agency, and Dan Brillman and Caprice Knapp did a fantastic job writing this, dealt with a lot of states, but as you know, in the Working Families Tax Cut legislation, which I believe saved Medicaid. And the reason I say that is our actuarials told us we would be spending $5.4 trillion more for this program over the next decade if we didn't deal with some of the legalized money laundering that was siphoning money out of the program. Part of the reason that this is so attractive to states is they could take money in ways that it was not designed to be used, paying people along the way so they didn't have to pay for it themselves. I get it. I understand why the governors did it, but it didn't align the president with the governors. With that law, we also had a work requirement rule. Now, what was that? The work requirement was based on concepts that date back from when Bill Clinton was president with the temporary assistance for needy families. When the Democratic administration said the fraud is getting so bad, the abuse so big in these programs, we need to clean them up. We need to get people to try to work. It's a path to prosperity. I hope you share this belief, that we're put on this earth with agency to change our future, change the country's future, make the planet a better place. We're put here to make a difference. But if you're sitting at home, which is true for the millions of people who are able-bodied on Medicaid, on average, you're spending 6.1 hours watching television or just hanging around. That's not why you're here. So as a path to prosperity, Congress very wisely said, let's get you back into the workforce. Let's require you to get free health care coverage, to be able to work for 20 hours a week, or volunteer to make up the difference if you haven't worked 20 hours, or get an education. Just participate. And so that rule came out. It's I think, beautifully written effort to try to define for our nation what your part of the puzzle is. Because if you are going to get something that of value from the American people, there should be some obligation if you're able to. If you're not able to, if you're disabled, if you're in one of the categories that are well defined in general, not able to work, it's different. But if you can work, you should get up and work again, because that's historically how it always was. In 1965, when Medicaid was created, that was the deal. There were 11 million people in the program. We perverted that. Yes, sir.
Doctor, thank you. Since you're here speaking on behalf of the administration, part of the reason we're asking about the president's decision to appoint Bill Pulte to be the head of National Intelligence is it's been 4 hours and we've been asking the White House why he's qualified to do so. You're a heart surgeon or a heart doctor?
Yeah.
Would you recommend a patient go see someone who isn't?
You're asking the question with the premise that Bill Pulte is not qualified. I don't know anything about his situation, and I appreciate you want an answer. I'm not going to be the one giving it to you. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. This is Elizabeth with the Daily Signal. What are you doing, first of all, to remove any illegal immigrants who are still receiving Medicaid from the program? You mentioned earlier that's something you've been working on. And then secondly, Medicaid reimbursement for Planned Parenthood will resume July 4th unless Congress acts to extend the One Big Beautiful Bill. As CMS Administrator, what's your message to Congress on that?
On the illegal immigrant side, I'll take one question at a time, if you don't mind. Just a lot of folks. We have, because we now can do it, a very straightforward way for the 44 states that don't have state-based Medicaid plans for us to be able to audit if the people that we're paying for are citizens or not. In the state-based plans, like I mentioned in California, and there's a few other states, Colorado, Washington, et cetera, Illinois, they have their own plans. So we have to now audit their plans. This is a challenge, and that's why before I came here, I met with a bunch of Medicaid directors from many states, red and blue, and they want us to help rebuild the tech infrastructure of Medicaid in this country. Imagine 50 balkanized programs. We spend $20 billion a year, $20 billion for tech infrastructure, and we're not getting our money's worth. So we're putting $200 million more because of the Working Families Tax Cut legislation. We've got negotiated, Dan Brillman did $600 million of in-kind contributions from the vendors to be able to get the work requirement done in an effective way. But I think it's the first step of a much larger national opportunity to fix how data flows. And one bit on this, Medicare's billing system, which many of your relatives are using, was a 1979 era COBOL-based system. I don't even have engineers who know how to use that system. And so if you're going to really use cloud-based tools, if you want to use technology to help Americans connect better with the healthcare system, you have to update them. The president has been supportive of this, so we are upgrading the system. And my hope is that we can use the tech transformation tools of this government to bring people to work with us from the private sector. And every major tech company is a partner of ours. Now, our pledge is 700. Yes, go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to follow up on her question behind me. If the president's in such perfect health, why does he keep coming back in for checkups?
I think he likes the results. He does really well. He aces the test every single day, and I do actually believe that he is curious to make sure everything is going in the right direction. He's a very meticulous person in so many ways that are often underappreciated. But for him to want to know all the numbers and keep on top of them, it's the same reason he calls people at odd hours, because something's on his mind and he wants to deal with it. Yes, in purple.
I wanted to ask about the UFC fight here at the White House next week. The president recently invested in the parent company of UFC. Is it a conflict of interest for him to be promoting this event while he's invested in UFC's parent company?
I don't think the president sits in the Oval Office and makes individual investment decisions, but I don't know about that issue. But knowing him, I suspect someone else is making those decisions for him. But wait, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. The Obamacare subsidies expired earlier this year. What negative consequences have you seen, and do you see any policy adjustments that need to be made?
Let's talk about Obamacare. Let's take a step back. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 2020, there were 9 million people on Obamacare. 9 million. Today, it's more than 20 million. Like, what happened? What happened was we completely took the guardrails off. And I know this because I'm working in the agency that actually was told to take the guardrails off. And because there wasn't an earnest desire to keep track of whether you're appropriately on it or not, but more importantly, just get the number to where we all feel good about ourselves, we had massive increases of people joining the program. We believe that 35%, roughly, of the people that are using the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare exchanges, because they've never used the program once, they've never filed a claim, may not be legit. And that actual number may translate to, I don't know, 5-6 million people we could be paying premiums for because they don't have to contribute anything. So they don't even know they're getting it. These are people who have Medicaid, and someone, often a broker, is dishonestly enrolling them on in an Affordable Care Act. Or they're in 2 states at once getting full insurance paid for by us in multiple states at once. So we have evaluated these numbers. They're extremely concerning. There's a very strong effort by us. We actually made a rule 2 weeks ago that starts the process. We had tried to do this when we first came into office. A court enjoined us. They did not feel we'd followed appropriate APA guidelines, government guidelines. And so we redid it and now went back out again. But if you care about the ACA, then you'll want us to take the fraud out. And let me just take a step back. If we want you to go back to work on Medicaid, what's going to happen? You're going to start making money. As you make money, you're going to make enough money, you get above the poverty level, you're going to want to buy an Affordable Care Act product. Or private industry, commercial insurers are going to start using it. That's a good thing. We're getting America back up. They're getting into work, getting them into the stratosphere, building prosperity. So we want these programs to work together. But if you've got millions of people, literally, who are getting insurance that they don't want, they don't even know they have it, and we're all paying for it, that's tens of billions of dollars we're throwing away. That increases premiums for everybody. It drives affordability down. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. Sir, in the back, in the beard. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rose. We are happy to see you. I'm sorry, I will ask you a question because I'm Turkish American.
No, only one question. It doesn't matter. One question.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, the Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and American president has a good relations. And there's a report they are going to meet in Turkey and United States game in Los Angeles. Have you heard about it? And also there's a NATO summit in Turkey in July. So you're Turkish American. I don't know. Do you have any idea? Are you going to join? And what you're thinking about Erdogan and Trump relations?
I have no idea about these meetings. I've not been invited to anything. I suspect I won't be invited to everything because I've got a lot of work to do here. I'll give it right there. Go ahead. Good. Yes.
Jordan Conrad's from Gateway Pundit. Back to the illegal aliens on Medicare and Medicaid. Last October, you announced that you had found over $1 billion in federal tax dollars going to illegal aliens. How much has that amount increased as of today? And, it's kind of like fish in a barrel. Are these people being referred to immigration for prosecution and deportation?
The number has doubled from what I said last year. We're about $2 billion. The good news is that many states realize this is a problem, and they themselves have stopped doing this. Listen, it's the same basic story again and again. We as a nation make a decision because we're one people. Individual states have to take that decision and use it to the best of their ability. Some states don't do as good a job as other states. That's why we're looking to individual states for leadership, for better ideas to deal with many of these social problems that unfortunately begin to pile up over time, and they threaten the very foundation of our social net that supports all of us. That's why this matters so much. If you quiz the vice president, he grew up in an environment where he saw people abuse this. I know that's the case of people who are in the task force right now, the Anti-Fraud White House Task Force. So there's a passion about this, and for good reason. I mean, the president calls the vice president Elliot Ness. He wants him, he likes the fact that he's taking this seriously, he's going at it, and he's doing what's best for the American people by making some tough decisions. One last question, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. Back to Bill Pulte, but with the national security angle. The president has pushed very hard to renew FISA, Section 702. It expires in 10 days, just ahead of the World Cup. And there's this heightened threat environment with the war in the Middle East. We've heard all these intel agencies talk about the threat environment these days and how people have been very concerned about it. On Capitol Hill, you've had lawmakers today raising concern about Bill Pulte, and on the Democrat side, questioning his ability to carry out that role fairly and not weaponize it. What can you say about to allay their concerns, and can you also answer a question that was posed by Susan Collins about whether Pulte has a security clearance himself?
Ma'am, I don't know anything more about Bill Pulte than you do. I did not think that would be one of the questions that would even come up here. I hadn't even heard the news when I walked out. Okay, let me leave you with, we have one last question, but I do want to... Okay, go ahead, ask me. I'll come to you. I have a GOP question. What's your question?
Do you have any medical advice for the Americans out there that are suffering from a very serious ailment called Trump derangement syndrome?
I am concerned about folks who have focused their entire life energy on dislike of the president. It's disheartening to see people lost in that way, but it's treating stupid is really hard, and that becomes a real problem. And these folks are off. Now, GLP-1s.
One question on GLP. Thank you very much.
Let me just answer for because I'm out of time. And
very quick one. Are Americans getting real deal medication, brand name like Wegovy, Ozempic, or it will be generic on Trump RX at $50 monthly rate?
The Trump RX product is the real deal, the true API, the pharmaceutical product that's made by the two major providers right now, which are Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. There are other companies coming into the space. We have these products that are given by these companies as part of this deal, so we like to use the real product to be able to satisfy the needs of the American consumer.
It's the brand name.
It's a brand name. Last question from the middle. Go ahead, last question. Take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. So Kenya basically has stopped, has asked U.S. not to build the quarantine facility there. And the people, the responders from here who are supposed to go there, do you think the Trump administration's policy of not allowing people who are exposed, Americans who are exposed to the virus, come back to the U.S. will dissuade these responders from going there?
No, I think we're going to work out with Secretary Rubio's leadership a very favorable arrangement with Kenya. I've been to Kenya. It's a beautiful country, very sophisticated people. They're going to do the right thing for everybody, and I think it's a perfect solution. I thank you very much for letting me participate. God bless you all. Take care.
Microplastics.
All right. At this
back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
You know, if I had heard, as you heard, that Dr. Oz was going to be the guest at the press conference, I would have thought maybe I would look up, because as a libtard, as a Democrat, I've had so many of the Democrat politicians almost on a daily basis talk about people can't afford health care, or that there's health care problems, and now you've got the ability to speak to Dr. Oz one-on-one, and you want to ask him about the Director of National Intelligence, which I knew they were going to do this. And that's why earlier I was like, I don't know how he's going to answer these questions, because he's not that guy. So for them, they're going to trash him all over the news. You can bet that's where it's headed. It's going to be a whole lot of stuff that this guy didn't answer any of our questions. I would almost expect President Trump to come out and post something, or maybe even have another press conference where he comes out. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to give you some information. I want to give you more information than the people in that press conference had. They were lying. They have no idea what they're talking about. Somebody's talking into their ear. Somebody's sending them a text message, and they're not paying attention. This is what I'm about to show you, is why it's so very important to parse words. President Trump is a master at communication. There's a reason why he types what he types, what he says, and it goes over the heads of the people in the media, whether it's on purpose, whether they're just being ignorant, but it goes right over their heads. So I'm going to break it to you very simply and show you specifically what President Trump did today. All right, you ready for this? This was President Trump's post. And let me bring it up. Here it is. All right, let's look at this together. It's very important. I am appointing the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency and the chairman of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, William J. Pulte, to serve as the acting director of national intelligence. William has deep experience managing the most sensitive matters in America: the safety and soundness of the markets, over $10 trillion at Fannie Mae, a substantial increase from where it was just 12 months ago, and on and on. If you just read that along with me and didn't catch what President Trump said versus what these piranhas were doing at the press conference, you missed it. At the press conference, they were talking, and they asked a couple times, why is he qualified to be the director of national intelligence? Who says that he can do the job as the director of national intelligence? The statute says that the person has to be someone who has national intelligence background. But if you listen to them talk and you missed what President Trump said here, you realize they're not talking about the same thing. So let me show you what the actual statute says. This one gonna work, or would be this one? This one might be better. All right, in terms of bring it here for you to see it, because I know, when you're talking about legal things, you really have to dig into the actual text. I said to Grok, because I knew what he was doing. Grok, what are the stated qualifications for the Director of National Intelligence of the United States? And it says the primary stated qualification, which is what these guys were saying, for the Director of National Intelligence is set by statute. Now pay attention here. Any individual nominated for appointment as Director of National Intelligence shall have extensive national security expertise. Did you catch it yet? Did you sit there and go, oh, wait a minute, now I see. Any individual nominated for appointment as Director of National Intelligence shall have extensive national security expertise. Now we'll go back to what President Trump said, because you got to parse the words. This is what President Trump said here. I am appointing Bill Pulte as acting director of national intelligence. He did not say that he is nominating him for the final position. That simple nuance of words. It's not playing games, it's actual law. They completely missed it. They ran with the statute. He's not qualified. He might not be. He may not be qualified to be a nominee, but I didn't nominate him as the director of national intelligence. I just put him in as a placeholder. He's the acting director of national intelligence. There's nothing in this post, not a single word, where he says, I am nominating him to be the director of national intelligence. These people are rabid dogs. Everything they try to do is try to discredit, confuse, obfuscate, and I would say outright lie. Because they know most Americans, most people are not going to pay attention to that simple nuance that I just showed you. And no, it's not playing games. It's the actual strategy that President Trump is using. I'm not nominating him. I just need somebody there. I've got plenty of time to nominate somebody. Tulsi Gabbard hasn't even left yet. I believe her term, she said she was leaving on June 30th. So Bill Pulte is going to step in when she's done, and he's going to have, I think it's probably going to be like 180 days or 120 days before he then would have to nominate somebody. Now, I know there's a guy, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. There is a guy who has extensive military background, who has extensive governmental background, who is going to be available sometime after November. And that guy is Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, naval background, governor here of Florida. That would be my bet. Put him in, nominate him as the director of national intelligence. You don't got to do it now. You got plenty of time. Let these people fester. Right now, you're just acting, and as an acting director, you're going to be working, toe-to-toe with Ratcliffe and some other people, and you don't have to answer to none of these idiots. That is a big difference. That is a huge difference, and nobody would have said that. No, they're not saying that. They're running around screaming with their heads, bam, bam, bam. Oh, he's not qualified. I didn't nominate him, idiots. Watch. Over the next hours and days, watch how they keep trying to attack him. And that's probably why President Trump didn't come out. I didn't nominate anybody. I challenge you to go find any statement where he says, I'm nominating him to be the director of national intelligence. Didn't happen. Nuance. Watching what is said, taking the words and going, nah, I see what he did there. Did you pick up on that?
Not as much. I'm just looking at some breaking stories. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. Trump basically says that he is going to have the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Waldorf Astoria, built by him on Pennsylvania Avenue. So cue the lib nuts. And then I saw a very interesting story from Clandestine. You know that, I really follow him for a lot of his interesting thoughts because of his connection to the military.
Yeah.
And I saw that he says, I wouldn't be surprised if one day Trump just announces that we have Iran's uranium. That's how he did it in Venezuela. Nobody even knew that the DOE extracted the uranium from Venezuela until it was done. A secret mission that should have taken years took months. What if a similar mission is going on in Iran right now? Right? What if all this stalling and delaying is for a reason? He says, I have no proof that this is the case. And obviously the situation is much more complicated in Venezuela, but it would match Trump's MO to secure the uranium in secret.
It's pretty much what I was saying earlier with you're watching a movie, and only he has the script at this point, and everybody else. And that's probably one of the reasons they're complaining, because they have no idea what the hell is going on, and everybody's trying to put their emphasis on it. And I'm like, you don't know. I can't even suppose what's going on. And so there's no reason to interject and just listen to what he says. Then you sent me this, and yes, it does make me very, very happy. I love this. Oh,
Florida.
oh my goodness.
Coaching.
Okay, Florida legislature formally approves abolishing property taxes for most primary homeowners statewide. Both chambers have resoundingly passed Governor Santis's proposal, sending it to the voters for approval this November. Let's go. It needs 60% of voters this fall. The only problem with that is there's still some Democrats here, and I don't know if it's gonna get to 60%, but there's a lot of Democrat homeowners who it will save a ton of money. And it's funny because as I was looking at this, you get the crazy people who make comments, and some of the people in here were like, how are you gonna pay for anything? They don't even get it. They don't understand. My God.
Oh, I have a perfect dovetail to that story of crazy. So right above, actually, the last thing I sent you in X. It's a 27-second video. This is not AI, okay? It's Boston City Hall. They raise an LGBTQ plus flag and they sing. Guess, I want you to hear what they sing. What song they sing.
Hold on. Let me
This is like, this should be part of your libtard zone, Barry. This is perfect.
Is it not?
It's the end wokeness.
Is that a copyright song? Is it?
No. You hear it, it's not like it's just singing it, but it's brief. Right. It's very faint.
No, I don't think I'm listening. I'm listening to it off camera, and I don't even hear the volume on it. So I might have to adjust the volume. It seems like it's very low.
Well, they're singing. It's saying, Wizard over the rainbow.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, it's really, really low. So what I'll have to do is probably I'll have to download that. Could you hear it? I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I heard it. I actually heard it. The thing is, this is a city hall. Come on, man. Really? And then they pan to the pride flag that's being hoisted up on the pole outside of City Hall.
Let's see if you guys can hear it. Then here, let me play it. I can't hear it. I can't hear anything. Yeah, I think it's in mono, so I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, they were singing somewhere over the rainbow, so it was great harmony. I'll give them that, But I'm going to hit the buzzer to have them bounced.
And there's President Trump posted something else while we were there.
About the White House visit.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was going on. So
I didn't see it either.
Yeah, he posted this. Oops, sorry. He posted that it was very nice having Flavio Bolsonaro in the Oval Office, a smart young man who loves his country, Brazil, very much President Donald J. Trump. So Bolsonaro was in the White House while the press conference was going on. This was posted at 1:34, so it was right while it was going on. So don't know what that was about, but I'm sure we'll hear something. That's for sure.
There was no press release on that too. I have not seen anything. That just popped up. I saw Eric post about it. I'm like, let me verify. Sure enough.
It's interesting what you just said. You said there was no press about it. There is so much stuff happening that they don't have a clue. And that's why I said the timestamps, because he came in as they were all inside the press conference. You have to, the whole White House pool is over inside it's in a different building. And so they all left their stations at the White House and on that, what do they call it? Out at the sticks where they all stationed. They all ran into the press conference room. This guy comes in and they they never even saw it. So you can't believe anything because there's so much going on. We don't know why there was no advance notice. Why is this guy showing up today?
Nothing. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more coming out. When I find out, I'll let you know. Hey, you're a real estate guy, right? Obviously, you're real estate. You love. So I have an interesting. Nick Shirley, literally 1 minute ago, says here is prime example of fraud and waste inside California's homeless industrial complex. California, it's a video, so you don't have time to download, but I'll just read it. So it's two
Where did you send it to me?
Let's see if I can.
Excuse me.
Give me a second. Copy link. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait. Let me see if I got it here.
This is live TV, folks.
And it's okay. I see Nick. Yep.
I mean, but
on,
look at those numbers. I mean, you're a real estate guy. Tell me that this is.
Wait,
crazy.
1 second. Let me pull it in.
Okay.
This right here is another example of fraud, waste, and abuse here inside the homeless industrial complex here inside of California. This hotel used to be a Ramada. In 2020, the state of California bought it for $8 million. It is now 2026, and this hotel is not even nearly close to being finished. And to finish it, it's going to cost $20 million, and it's going to be used to house 32 homeless individuals here inside the state of California. So per person, that is going to cost upwards of $625,000 per person, and there is nothing to show for this hotel right now. That just goes to show how bad the system is, where in its own state, in its own city, it takes up to 6 years after they purchase it to even make any sort of progress. I mean, this is all the progress you're seeing here inside the state of California. It's a little crazy. And so you would think after 6 years, the state of California would have more to show for $8 million and now $20 million to be invested into this building. 6 years later, this place has had hardly any work done to it, and it's still years out from being completed. That is just another example of fraud, waste, and abuse here inside the state of California.
Barry, this goes, I mean, tell you, that lady who says, I'm going to vote for Bass because she's black, she doesn't care. She don't care.
Yeah. I was talking to Ashley, and during the summer here, it's a downtime. Politically, there's not a whole lot of stuff going on. And I said, you know what, I want to do some different things. And I thought to myself, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go out and do some man on the street things and show the waste, fraud, and abuse. But we don't have any. I'm like,
Hey Barry, you want to fly me out to California? I'll be your man on the street.
You're making money, huh? Yeah, you're making all kinds of. Okay, what about you? Oh, it's great down here. All right, that's it. We're all making money down here. See you later. and I didn't want to be facetious about it because I'm like, where am I gonna go? I guess I could go into some places in the hood and show some things. It's crazy. There was a post today. Let me see if I can find it. It just made me start cracking up.
I was gonna say you do have those thug teen takeovers and also alligators that are eating people, but that's about it.
That's over on the west side.
But down south, right?
The west side. It's like 300 miles from here. I live. Okay, here. Hold on. Let me give you a little geographic information here. Okay, where are you at? All right. So this is. I'm going to get to this in a second, but this is the map of Florida. This little white here, that's West Palm Beach. I am down here. All that stuff that happened with those takeovers was way up here.
Oh, okay.
So down here, it's like a different world. And so different world is somebody posted this and said, breaking, as of this morning, 12% of Florida's homes for sale are in a fire sale. This means that there have been sitting on the market, the sellers actively cutting prices and increasing the frequency of those price cuts. I'm like, notice what area of this map isn't in fire sale. And then you look down here, well, obviously this part of the panhandle, but there's nothing going on there. People are fine. And I don't know why people keep trying to think the same. It's going great. And
more gaslighting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gaslighting. It's a complete
Yeah.
gaslighting. So, yeah.
Wow.
So my man on the street things would be kind of boring. even 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 going to talk to some liberals. Say how's it going? Well, my 401k is doing really well. Okay, I guess we got nothing to talk about. I remember when they had one of the No Kings rallies, and I don't know if you were watching it, but I did a man on the street. I went to it, and the guy was like, "Trump sucks." And I'm like, "How's your 401k?" Well, actually, it's doing pretty good. What are you here for? I don't know. And it was, Robin just looked like that. She couldn't believe it. Oh my
Well, you know,
gosh.
when I was down there the second time when I went to play cards with you and had
Yeah.
dinner, I was at a light like by a bridge, and I saw like there was 5 protesters, and I think the average age was about 80. I mean, no lie. No lie. They're like,
When they say it's not affordable, because Florida has kind of flipped its demographic. It was the place to go to die, and so there were so many old folks here, and they came, they lived on their their Medicare, and they lived with their Social Security, and they had the little apartments where, I mean, there are some apartments here that are like 2-1 apartments with like 500 square feet. You could tell you what, you want to live in South Florida, not too far from here, there's an old village, a retirement village, and you can like buy one of those condos for like $49,000. Like a
wow.
2-1 with like, 600 square feet. And I told Robin, we need to buy a couple of those and just hold on to them. So when people like SV comes down, you don't got to go to a hotel room. Go hang out at the condo. You might have
All
to hang
right.
out with, well, see, you wouldn't mind it because you could whoop up on them all in pickleball.
Take their money in poker as well.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, so it's early. It's 2:15, so that means I will do a second show tonight about 7:30. I got a whole bunch of stuff in the can, and I'm like, I could keep going, but let's just go ahead and break it. I'll go have lunch and
Sounds good.
do some things, and we'll do a second show tonight. It's been a while since we've had a second show, so we'll go ahead and do that.
All right. Look forward to it.
Yeah. All right. So I'll see you later, man.
All right.
All right, everybody, let me do the super chats, and then I'm going to go get something to eat and then head over to AT&T and get a new phone because my phone's messed up. All right, so this may be quick. Oh, this is good. Oh, we'll be out of here very quickly. All right, so here we go. What did I do here? DC QC Politics News. Thank you, Barry. If I would, I'd love your opinion on a project of mine being created with AI. It's in your wheelhouse. Oh, a real estate one? Let me know. Condition based. He didn't endorse Pratt because of the cheating. It might be a loss. Don't want to bruise his flawless record. Yeah, that might be, but SV said somebody did find an endorsement on May 20th or so. So he did make that endorsement then. All right, so let's go ahead and break. I'll see you guys tonight at 7:30 or so. I got a whole bunch of stuff to go over with you. It should be fun. Talk to you then.